what we're seeing in healthcare is a much greater reliance on Wi-Fi, not just for clinical applications on mobile devices, but also for guest access for patients and visitors. It's seen as a critical service. Not only are we seeing the medical applications deployed on mobile devices, but really from a patient experience perspective, access to Wi-Fi is now seen as critical because of the expectation that Wi-Fi is always available and always on. With that comes a much more satisfied patient, right? If they can get access to very well performing guest Wi-Fi, it means that they're not so worried about length of waiting times because they're entertained. You know, it sounds trivial, but it is a major problem for our healthcare customers if there isn't that ubiquitous access to Wi-Fi. Sometimes it can become a challenge to manage and maintain that level of experience because of the greater number of users and devices that we see using guest services and clinical applications. To better manage an experience, we need to know more about what happens on our Wi-Fi networks. We need to know what's connected and what applications are being used and the level of service that they're currently receiving. One of the key areas of Wi-Fi that benefits from investment really is the visibility and analytics, comparative analytics around user experience and around the network. So if we can understand very simply from the network exactly how a client is behaving, how it's performing in comparison to other devices in the same location, if we're able to then break down the statistics about how quickly devices have roamed or how fast applications are responding, we can very quickly identify sources of potential problems and then mitigate those problems. If we don't have that level of visibility and analytics within a Wi-Fi solution, then to diagnose those kind of problems takes an engineer visit with a spectrum analyzer and then a wireless sniffer, and it takes packet captures and traces and manually working through loads of data to try and identify the source of those problems, which can take a long time to resolve any kind of Wi-Fi issue. And by building that type of capability right into the Wi-Fi itself, we can actually make operational management and mean time to resolution far greater. So we have a much more predictable user experience because we're able to constantly monitor exactly what's happening with our users and devices. The major benefit of doing all of this is when all of those things work correctly, the network essentially disappears. When you don't notice it's there, when you as a guest or a visitor can walk into a hospital, you can easily access a Wi-Fi network and just use your device however you want to. If you're a staff member who can just pick up a tablet, access a clinical application, do whatever you need to do in the most intuitive way without really thinking that you're connecting to the Wi-Fi network, at the same time as maintaining your security, your integrity of your applications, and the performance of all of those applications. If you don't notice that you're connecting to the network, then you probably have a very good user experience.